squid now, I'm a kid now. I'm a squid, I'm a kid, I'm a squid kid, I'm a squid now. And I'm also an adult. And as Gohan would say in Dragon Ball Z Abridged, I need an adult! Anyway, today we're going to talk about Splatoon. My Wii U has not gotten a lot of use lately after Hyrulean Warriors. It kind of went way down. But let me tell you, Splatoon's going to add a lot of my play life to it. Recently I picked up both Splatoon and Mario Maker, and while Mario Maker I will be planning on doing a review soon, Splatoon will be a while because it has a single player story, so I kinda, I kinda have to complete it. Also, let me, as I notice my camera's a little lump-sided there. Anyway. So this will be a first impressions. I've only played the first 3 stages of the single player, so this will mainly be focusing on the multiplayer. Now, I do want to address one thing from a lot of people I saw when the game was actually brand new. A lot of stuff, pardon me, a lot of stuff was added into this game through updates, more guns, modes, and additional equipment and stuff. And a lot of people criticized the game on launch for not having that content in there on launch. On one hand, I definitely can agree with a lot of that. A good portion of that on launch would have been a lot better. But at the same time, it's also very nice they want to keep adding content to it. So, I mean, it's free content too, so it's not like you're paying for it. So, and my understanding, it even had new stages added to it. So, that's a scale of personal, subjective opinion to throw out there. And surely there will probably be more additional content added after this video. So, depending on your point of view there. But you also gotta keep in mind, in the future, when they pull the plug off the online services, you're gonna only have that one-on-one versus mode in the story player mode. So the 4-on-4 versus thing will sadly be a dead thing in that time period. So, if you're referring to in the distant future of replay value, in the bigger picture it doesn't matter in that regard. But in the here and now, but anyway, as of now, I really like this. I really do like it. You'll immediately start the game, immediately picking a boy or a girl or a girl or a boy, and you don't get a lot of creativity with that, sadly. I would actually appreciate a more constructive character creation, maybe different squid styles and such. But all you can really do is choose your skin color and whether you're a boy and girl and your eye color. Your anime weeaboo eyes. Blue. I would have liked it a little more customization than that, but but you do get a lot of clothing customization, as you'll have a hat, a shirt, and shoes that will actually even assist you in battle, because they can have small power-ups that will be applied to you. And they also have experience encouraging getting new equipment. Different equipment can also have multiple abilities attached to them, and they can, usually they're random in that, so it kind of encourages you to get gear for each kind of play style you want to use, because I'm not sure how many weapons there were on launch, but like as of now, there's quite a bit. You have a machine gun, a more sniper kind of thing. The shotgun kind of weapon is a giant paintball, and really a shotgun is probably the closest thing I would compare that to, really. I mean, they all have different playstyles. There's even a paintbrush, which of course is a more close quarters kind of weapon there. But other things you gotta take into account is the sub-weapon, which is basically the kind of explosive grenades for the most part, aside from a few extra things that aren't necessarily grenades. And your special which can also be different. Like, there's one where you can launch a giant fucking missile. Many of them usually just let you spam your sub, like go grenade crazy and shit. But primarily, it's a choice of different play styles, and you'll probably want to gear your character towards it. Now, for the single-player story, you go into the sewer system and find out that the city's energy supply has been robbed, and this old military guy basically tells you about these octopus tentacle things that have basically stolen it, and you're just going through stages fighting them. Now, what's interesting is there are actual boss fights in the single-player campaign, so it seems like they do have a pretty nice single-player. And while I don't know how long it is, the little I've played of it, the first 3 stages and the boss of those 3 stages, it was actually enjoyable. So I look forward to doing that. I remember in a lot of people's videos about Splatoon, they said the single player also helps attune you to a lot of special moves, skills, and movement that can be applied to the multiplayer portion. So that's also a good thing. But aside from enjoying it and learning the basics of the game, I can't speak a whole lot on it. Now, when I live streamed my first experience with Splatoon, I didn't realize there was options to change the controls quite yet, because I was trying to hit start and select for it, but it's actually, when you're in the hub world, you can select it on the touch screen, which I didn't notice at first, because when you first start the game, it uses the motion up and down of your pad, but the analog you use for the right and left axis of your character, because it's in a third-person style. And that isn't unusable. It's actually functionable. But it's not too comfortable for me personally, but I could actually make it work. But you can change it to just the analog stick controlling up, down, left, right. So, and you get your basic, how sensitive it all is and that. But now I did get a decent amount using the motion thing, because like I said, I didn't know about it. It does function, and it wasn't very hard to use it. Now, I would have liked a option to change the controls a bit, because I think it's the Y button, the toppest button. I always forget the order of more modern Nintendo controls placements, but the toppest button on the 4 buttons, the top face button, it's the jump button, and I would prefer it to be the bottom one personally, because that's kind of like that platforming, running, jumping kind of mechanic of used to. And we're talking about Nintendo, it seemed kind of odd to me, but that you can get used to that. But that was a minor thing at the beginning there. After that, getting to the multiplayer, really. In the main hub world of the city, you have shops for your shoes, shorts, hats, and weaponry. Weaponry unlocks based on your level, and all the other gear is randomized every single day. And there is a special extra thing where you can examine people, because your Splatoon will hang around the town in random people's games with the gear they're wearing, and your Miiverse post and that. And you can actually ask the alley guy, there's a guy in the little alley, and you can ask him to specially get an item a character's wearing, but the abilities won't carry over, but it'll be the same, looking item, but it'll have different abilities. But he charges a lot of money for that request. It's not cheap service, so if you got a lot of extra money you earn from PvP. So obviously going into the PvP, going into the main tower part, you won't access a lot of the other modes until you get to Ranked. Ranked is where a lot of other modes are. There's a tower mode, and there was a, what was the other mode? I think there was also a team-based mode. I'm trying to remember what the other one was. I've only just recently got to try out a little Ranked, so I didn't get to do a whole bunch of them. But primarily, until you get to rank 10, you're going to deal with Turf War, which is the main concept of the game. That's more about coloring the stage, more with your team's color of ink versus killing people. But killing people still has its use in the game. So when you kill somebody, you have a respawn timer. So that means that person isn't on the field coloring the stage, their team's color. So killing people is still, of course, immensely useful, but if you just go solely to hunt down people, you're not going to win. It's really a balance of getting rid of the opposition and painting the living crap out of the stage. Or, on top of that, what I like to do a lot is find ways to get them to waste time. Like, a lot of times, I would go towards the base with a lot of special moves when mine are ready, and I would just paint up the beginning base area a lot. And that would waste their time coloring that, taking care of me and that, instead of going out to, paint the rest of the stage. And while that doesn't always work either, I mean, going suicidal doesn't always lead to victory either. Because at the same time, while you're wasting that, why maybe if most of your team's trying to do that, they could be painting up your section, the middle section. It's really... Teamwork does have its use in the game, and there is no chat room option in the game. So you have to really do a lot of it visually, communicatively, with the only thing you can do is make like a come on command, and you can kind of keep track where your teammates are on the touch screen's pad, because it'll show you a map of where they are. But obviously, being a third-person shooter game, it's not always easy to look down at the map and, pay attention to what's happening in front of you. But it's actually a lot, like, when you're looking at it at first, it seems so simple, but there's a lot more depth to how you plan and strategize. Like, first thing I always like to take into account is everyone's weapons on my team, because like I said, each one acts differently. Like the giant paint wall, it's a fucking power train in a straight line that paints a nice wide bit of the land. However, you don't turn so simply, and it takes you a second to stop when you're being like, let's say somebody from your side starts attacking you. You want to stop and then turn and use its shake-off move, which is acting like a shotgun. Because if they're not in front of you, then you can't attack them. Because obviously, if they're in front of you, you steamroll over them. So you have a issue of people can easily try to get behind you and mortar you that way. While with a machine gun type weapon or that, you'll be able to move around that, but it's not as strong as, say, like the giant paintball or that. While the paintbrush, for example, while it has the same kind of motion where you stick it into the ground, you can run straight forward, but it's only doing a much smaller line than the paintball. But at the same time, it's a lot quicker to get up and start slashing at the opponent. It's kind of like using a sword, really, basically, slashing in front of you. So, I mean, you need to take into account what kind of weapons your teammates are using and kind of plan accordingly. You play in the play style you are. If you're paintball, you're going to more be focused on painting a lot. People with machine guns are probably going to be focused more on trying to help keep enemies out of sections you're taking control of in that. And then, of course, based on your sub-weapons and such, because there are different, the one machine gun and another machine gun can have completely different grenades and specials and that, so you just kind of have to learn how each gun with its sub-weapon and its special is kind of designed for in a strategy. Each one has like a battle plan, a role for you to take on. So you want to quickly find the kind of roles you enjoy in the game. So some people are at just painting the living crap out of everything, while in other situations, you would be far more useful, when you don't see enemies. You always want to paint when you don't see enemies, but you know, it's more of a defensive, aggressive thing. Certain playstyles are more aggressive, and certain ones are going to be more defensive. Artistic style with the game, I really like it. It's, I don't know, it's like seeing a whole new IP from Nintendo for years and years. Like, Nintendo doesn't do a lot of new IPs. They've used a lot of their IPs over and over again, so it's really refreshing to see a whole new IP. It's very colorful, it's bright and that, and if you have concerns of violence and such, it is a very child-friendly game, and that I definitely would recommend it for children for sure. It's very enjoyable. It's just a giant paintball. It's very fun. It's enjoyable and everything. But local-wise, it only has a one-on-one duel system. And like I said, the online multiplayer 4 versus 4 is only an online feature, which of course that means when they pull the plug, that feature will no longer be useful. And it has a single-player story, like I said. It also has Amiibo support for 3 Amiibos currently. If they add any more, it would probably be through updates, obviously. The 3 Amiibos add challenges and a few unique gear items that, from what I understand, the single player gets gear items that you can't use in the multiplayer, and you can't use the multiplayer ones in the single player, but the Amiibos unlock the single player special outfit stuff, so you can use it in the multiplayer, if I understand that correctly. Now, when Splatoon launched, there was a huge Amiibo shortage on the Splatoon Amiibos, and a lot of people had trouble trying to get them, because, if I remember correctly, you could only get the green squid in, like, this 3-pack thing. Now I believe they're all capable of being separate. I believe I saw 3 of them separately at my GameStop recently, if I remember correctly. I know for sure I saw the Squid Girl and the Squid Boy. I might be wrong, and the Squid might still only be available in the 3-pack, but that would be stupid in my opinion. But Nintendo's been very bad with the Amiibos. Really, they have. There is no booklet with the game, sadly, in there, but the artwork on it is very colorful in there. It's really just a good game if you're just wanting to play the multiplayer. While the single player so far has been fun, I don't know how long it is, and that makes it hard to really know if it's worth the $59.99, the $60 you'll basically throw at the game. But if you add the single player with the multiplayer, I think it would add up to that. But this is a first impression. So far, it's very bright. I'm really enjoying the game. I look forward to doing some more videos with it, and eventually working on the single player more. But there's a lot of stuff, you know, I've been playing right now, but that's definitely going to be added in eventually. So those are my thoughts on Splatoon so far. I really do enjoy, and I like a lot of the references in there too, actually. The Zapple, the NES Zapple's in it. And any, like, big northern people would know that there was a gray and orange one. The whole story about that is that during, like, the 90s era with arcades and light guns and that, there was this whole thing with toy guns and shit. And they actually made a law where toy guns had to be bright colors, and that's why the NES Zapple became orange, because they didn't want to use grays and blacks and make toy guns look like real guns. And it actually even references that. Like, in the second version of the Zapple gun in the game, it's orange, while the first one is gray, and in the orange ones it says it was redesigned because of legal reasons. A nice nudge to the Zapple's history. I doubt Japan would probably get that as much, because I would assume in Japan it stayed gray, but I don't know for a fact. But nice little nudges though. Because, I mean, if that's the case, then that kind of nudge had more to do with the American version of the NES Zapple's life. Which, again, it's a nice nudge. It just, overall, I just like, and the music. Minus the American trailer thing, even though I don't mind the whole Squid Kid thing as much, I do like all the crazy, zany, Japanese pop kind of music in the game. It's really nice. I like the Japanese trail music, trailer music, which I heard is the final boss music in a more different way. Like, it uses the same song, but it's a different, like, tempo and that to it or that. But I really enjoy all the music and that. I recommend it definitely for the multiplayer if you're looking for a really different multiplayer experience, because you're really encouraged to balance between keeping an eye on enemies in your area while painting stuff. Now, something I also had to learn in the game was that ground paint is the only paint that counts. On the walls and that, it don't actually count. And at first I didn't realize that, but there's a... Well, you have a score thing, and it doesn't go up when you hit the wall. It only goes up when you're hitting the ground. So, which personally, I think that's a lot. I think they'd be able to keep track of the wall paint too, but that's just probably a minor complaint there. So far, I mean, I don't really have a lot of complaints, except for maybe not really being able to re-put what actions on the control buttons to modify them at all. But aside from that, I'm really enjoying the game. They don't force the motion controls down your throat. It does say on the case that you can use a Pro controller or the classic controller with a Wii remote. I'm not really sure if that's just for the local mode or if you can use that yourself for the online. Because I don't have a Pro controller. I do have a classic controller, but I didn't test that out. But I would assume that's definitely how the local second player would play. But if they're smart, they would have given people for the multiplayer the option to use the Pro controller, because I would assume that is more comfortable, even though the iPad controller isn't heavy. Like I was talking to Dan the Man about, it's surprisingly a lot lighter than you would think. But, yes, if you have any questions about Splatoon, please leave a comment down below, and hopefully in the future I can do a review of the game, because I'm really enjoying it. And hopefully I don't get burnt out on it, because that would be the negative effect. Until next time, I hope you're a squid now, you're a kid now, you're a squid, you're a kid, you're a squid, you're a kid, you're a squid now.